Okay, let's see. Hiking permits are free. They just want to know who's running around in the interior. And the biking permits are $35 for the whole year. And you can pick up both of the permits right there at the Conservancy headquarters there in Clarissa. But on days like today, you can pick them up at the Ricky Memorial Botanical Garden. Now this road that we're on right here is called Divide Road. Where it begins right here to where it meets the Summit Road that we're going to come back down, it's 8 miles. And then the Summit Road back in town is 4 miles. So it's a 4-mile loop. A lot of people like to use it for exercise. They hike it, they jog it, and they even bike it. And if you came across a ranger on this road, they probably just pass you right up because everybody uses it for exercise. As we go deep into the interior, they want to know who's running around out there. Here we go. This is what company housing down here called Pepper Beach Housing. And those round huts are called Quonset huts. They are left over from the Second World War. Now these trees here are called eucalyptus trees, and they are native to Australia. They tried to use them as pier pilings and railroad ties back in the 1800s, but every time they cut one down and dried it out, it twisted and cracked. They found out that these trees were no good to be used as pier pilings or railroad ties. But what they did find out was that these trees have a deep root system. So they use them to keep these roads on the side of the mountain. Some people call these trees dead dog trees. And I asked them, why do you call these trees dead dogs? You know what they told me? They do not bark. But on some of these trees, like the one my hand thought about, you see rings around them? Those are actually small holes made for local acorn woodpeckers. That's a very beautiful woodpecker. The feathers are black and white. And they have fire ridge red feathers up on top of their head. For the trees, we have about 19 different varieties of eucalyptus tree right now. And back in the 1940s, there was a virus that went through this side of town and killed off a bunch of eucalyptus trees. When we come back into town, that Summit Road is lined with all kinds of eucalyptus trees. They didn't get the virus over it, only on this side of town. Down here is a boatyard. They'll drag your boat out of the water for you. That's scrape all the barnacles off it. power lines here is actually the property line. We're going to exit Conservancy property, correction, we're going to exit Santa Catalina Island Company property and enter Catalina Island Conservancy property right here. Bushes here on the right, their leaf looks gray. They're usually light green. It's called white sage. They use it as a spice in cooking, but it has a strong fragrance. And back in the day, some called it cowboy cologne. The cowboys be on the range for days and weeks. They want to go to town to have a nice cold drink, and while they're there, they might want to talk to a couple of young ladies, but they're not smelling too good. So what they'll do is they'll get this white sage, they'll smash it in their hands and wipe it on the clothes to make it smell a little bit better for the winter time. Another fun adventure is going out beside the hill right here on the right. We have a bunch of little stars. It's called Common Live Forever. This is a succulent from the cactus family, also endemic, which means it's found nowhere else in the world but right here in our beautiful little island. Last summer, hot and dry. It looked dead. It was actually dried up. It was in a dormant state. It was asleep. We had good rain, brought it back to life, but it is slowly getting smaller and smaller by the week. If we don't get no more rain soon, it's going to go back to sleep and go back to a dormant state. Can we live forever? Succulent. Okay, here's some healthier looking white sage. Now, it's also used by some Native Americans as a purification. And what they do is they'll get it, they'll tie it up in a little bundle and dry it out. And before the start of a ceremony, let's say like a powwow, they'll light it like incense, put it in a bologna shell, walk around the arena, and you will get the smoke from the burning sage, put it over your head, put it over your body as a spiritual cleansing purification. Fresh off the left is a vine plant. It's called wild cucumber. Now right now, because of our drought, it's already dried up. On a good healthy year, it goes all over the hillside, goes all over the ground, and goes all over the trees. A seed pod grows on it, gets about as big as a softball. And it sounds good, wild cucumber, but don't eat it. Because not only does it taste terrible, it's poisonous. Wild cucumber. Now right here is a bean that grows all over the place, but not this year. You can see where it started growing up around the hill. And by the way, we're out here, you look up there, see those bushes with the reddish leaf? Poison oak. It's something you gotta remember. Poison oak, we do hiking out here in the hills of Catalina. Come across the poison oak, you want to stay out of it. Maybe you have a bad day at the beginning of a bad week. Poison oak, these are three. These are these. The round ones are poison oak, the ones that have a point, poison ivy. leeward side. There's not very much wave activity going on down there, which is good for snorkeling, scuba diving, stand-up paddleboarding, and kayaking. The back side of the island they call the windward side, and on some good days you can find some good wave activity out there, and especially when there is a tropical storm that is brewing off the coast of Mexico. The water treatment plant down here, just beyond those blue tanks. This road in front of us takes you to an old gold mine. His name was Malcolm Renton, and he came to the island a little over 100 years ago looking for gold. And he opened up 2 mines, one over here above Pebbly Beach, then one out of Blackjack Mountain, and he found a lot of lead, silver, and zinc. And he made good money off the minerals, but it wasn't the kind of money he wanted. So after a couple of years, he shut his mines down. But there for a minute, and only a minute, we were the largest supplier of silver on the west coast. But if you took this road where it ended, you wouldn't find anything. They covered up his vine with a bunch of dirt, rock, and vegetation. They don't want nobody going down there and getting stuck. So this is now the dead-end road to the old Renton mine. Dirt has a lot of clay in it. When it gets wet, it's real slippery. So when it rains, we don't send tours out. The only tours that will be the Skyline Drive and the Avalon City Drive because those roads are paved. 3 years ago, I came out here after about 3 days of really good rainfalls. You know, they said the roads were really good, but they didn't check this road because I came out here with a big chunk of water. The road is tilted. I tried my best to stay out of it, but we just get right down into it and boom, up against the wall over there. So I put a 4-wheel drive. It took me 15 minutes to get out of my home. But the tires were spinning and the mud was flying and everybody was having a wonderful time. Now because we got a lot of clay, we made tile here on the island from 1927 through 1937. And a lot of our that tile they got out here by a lake called Echo Lake, which is all dried up at this moment. Well, a little tile factory located right there by our garage. Now, if you find yourself a piece of tile and you turned it over and it said Kevin Island on it, you better hold on to it. It's probably worth some money. There was a single piece of tile that was made on the island back in the 1920s, and it sold for $600. So if you find some, put it away. Save it for a rainy day. Now the trees that you see, the pine trees, the eucalyptus trees, the palm trees, cottonwood trees, all the trees that you see here on the island were all introduced. Somebody once said this island here was forested, and they were talking about the oak tree, scrub oak. All that you see out here on the hillsides, this is all scrub oak. And this is what fueled that fire in 2007. Now the day of the fire, what had happened was there was a guy at the radio station was up on top of the transmitter tower cutting cable with a welding torch. The sparks came down and lit the dry grass, and the wind that day was blowing toward town took that fire 4 hours to get here. And when it did, the wind all of a sudden changed direction, blew back towards the origin of the fire. They actually passed the point of vacation by 5 miles. But that fire came down over that hill where the tower's at, heading down towards the city back. You can see some amazing pictures of people. That was the large fire. 40 years ago,
was actually fires up and down Southern California. And before this fire started, it was just